Today on Faith Matters, Jennifer Brandt brings us a hospitality highlight interview with Anna Copley and Erin Dougherty. I'm Seth Weber, and you're listening to Faith Matters, a podcast designed to help you think biblically in matters of the Christian faith and update you on matters of Faith Bible Church.
So much for having me over.
Thanks for coming. Good to see you.
Good to see you guys.
Come on in.
Thank you. There's some beautiful scones. Oh my goodness.
Thank you.
And focaccia bread?
Yes.
What type?
A lot of garlic, right? Probably 6 cloves of garlic and oregano and basil and like flaky sea salt, Mum's flaky sea salt.
That's amazing. Well, it looks beautiful. I'm excited for the church to see.
It's like a running thing of like my roommates being like, "This is the best one you've ever made," and I'm like, "Thanks." It's because I melted an entire stick of butter on top. It's our special secret.
Hi, welcome to the Faith Hospitality Highlight. My name is Jennifer Brandt, and today I am interviewing Anna Copley and Erin Dougherty, the future Erin Carlson, because she's getting married in August. So, Erin, why don't you tell me how long you've been going to the church and just a little bit about what you're doing in life?
Yeah, so my parents have been going to the church since it started, and so when I was born, I was taken to FBC, so I've been there since I was born and have been there ever since growing up. And I just graduated from Gonzaga last Sunday with a history degree and a minor in art history and a minor in business. And I just got hired with Gonzaga in their university advancement department to be an administrative assistant to 4 of the executives who oversee development and fundraising.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's so exciting.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then I'm getting married in August.
Yay!
Yes.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That is wonderful. Okay, and Anna, can you tell us how long you've been coming to the church and what you're doing in life right now?
My parents have been going to FBC for 27 years, so your parents beat them by a little bit. But I was also like born into FBC, basically, and I've been there all except for about a year when I was down at Masters and I was going to Grace Community Church. I am about halfway through school for being an ultrasound tech, and I'm taking a little bit of time off. And in the meantime, I am working 3 different jobs. I work at a coffee shop. I do all of their marketing and social media, and I bake for them now, as of like 2 weeks ago.
Wow.
So you can get these scones at Rebel 77.
That's amazing.
And pay for them.
Or you can come to my house and get them for free.
These are bakery scones right here. This is legit. Okay.
And then I work for another social media advertising company, and I do photography, and then I do freelance photography. So shooting weddings and stuff.
Okay, that's awesome. Mm-hmm. So I'm in their home right now and wanted to talk to you guys about some of the ministry that you've been doing in Doxa. You guys have opened up your home to host your Doxa Bible study. So Erin, why don't you tell me a little bit about how you're serving in Doxa right now?
Yeah, so I just graduated from Gonzaga, so I just finished as a student, and in this last year, the Gonzaga Bible Study needed a location to be hosted, and with Jared and Claire leaving, there was a need to host, and it just made sense for me to host because I live pretty close to Gonzaga's campus, and I'm part of the university and part of the ministry, so it just lined up really well. And I didn't do any of the cooking, actually. Mitzi Peterson, who is amazing, volunteered to do all of the cooking every Monday night for the entire group, which is a really large task to feed like college men, but she did it and she did a great job.
To like bring it and like...
Yeah, she delivered it to us too, like we didn't even pick it up. And then some of the other leaders like Lydia Kinney and Lily McCullough, and then my mom, Wendy Dougherty, pitched in and helped with different sides. So it really was a team effort to feed everyone, and then we provided the space.
How many people would come each week?
I think it ranged. Sometimes it would be like 7 people, and then I think the most we've had like 20 people. And we don't just have Gonzaga students, we have some of the WSU students who are at the Spokane campus, but because our group is closest to that campus, we get to have those folks with us too.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
And who all lives in this house with you?
So this house has myself and then Anna Copley, and she moved in last December. Mm-hmm. And then Annalise Norton, and she's been living here for the last 2 years. We're the 2 that have been here the longest. And then Grace McEachran moved in last May, so she's been here almost a year.
Okay.
I was actually originally looking at places with Erin
3 years ago.
3 years ago.
Yeah.
And then as we looked around, and it just became very apparent that with my health at the time, that was not going to happen. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't handle doing it on my own, but it was always kind of a goal to get me in here when I was healthy enough.
Mm-hmm. We really lured her in because when I first moved in, I needed furniture and stuff and cooking supplies.
Yeah, all my stuff is here.
Yeah, and Anna had a storage unit full of furniture and cooking utensils and pans. And so I just raided her storage unit kind of in the hopes that she'd move in eventually and get to use her stuff. That lured her in to live with us, so she had to come reclaim her things.
Yeah, my stuff has lived here a good 2 years longer than I have.
Yeah.
So something that I wanted to talk to you guys about was as college students, it's not as common to, open up your house, open up your space when you're living with several people to have groups over. So what have been some of the joys and maybe challenges of doing that?
I think like I was mentioning earlier, college students are very cloistered on their campuses, and campuses are often built to give you everything you need, so you don't really have to leave. Mm-hmm. And so I think coming up with activities or coming up with things to do together that college students want to come do, mm-hmm. if they have the chance to, especially non-believing college students, if they have the chance to go out late with their friends or be partying, it's hard to motivate them to want to spend time with Christians in a home. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's partially been a struggle, is how do we even get them here? Mm-hmm. But oh yeah, go ahead.
That was the timer for the scone.
Sorry. They might need more time.
So yeah, I think
they do need more time.
We've all been creative. I think all of us as roommates have found creative opportunities to try to engage with non-believers, especially, and draw them into our home in some capacity. Mm-hmm. And I think that's looked different for each of the relationships that we host. Mm-hmm. For my friends, from Gonzaga, we did this very elaborate Valentine's Day party, and we had candles everywhere, and we did fondue, and it was very elaborate, almost like a restaurant sort of experience. And so sometimes it's being creative about what will people actually want to come and do. And then I also think when we first moved into the apartment, I was really nervous that nobody would talk or nobody would interact, and there would just be a bunch of awkward silences. And so I was really trying to think through how can we make sure there's always something to talk about. And so part of my strategy when we first moved in was to make art, I'm artistic, was to make some art that was very odd, so that when people were sitting and chatting and they looked at the wall, they'd be what is that? Why is that hanging on your wall? That? Yeah. Or who made that? And I'm oh, I made that. And then we start talking, almost like a conversation starter. So we had another one that was over on the wall, just over there, and I took it down. But this one here is it's a golden retriever, and it looks like cake. And almost everyone that comes to our apartment for the first time comments on it, and then we just get to chat.
Yeah.
And people have different interpretations. Some people hate it, some people love it, and I don't really care how you feel about it as long as you're talking and there's not an awkward silence. So that's been pretty rewarding.
That is such a cute idea.
I feel that idea has continued out into the not odd things. Mm-hmm. If you look around our apartment, it is full of stuff. Like in terms of like every wall has art on it, or like my record player and like our little bar cart there with the different books on it. I feel like even our like not odd art gives way to conversation in a really sweet way.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, we have people who come in and like come to either your dog or come to like the art that I have on the wall, or again, the record player, you know?
So we try to like decorate and have activities that are interesting and that draw people in and that cause people to ask questions, so that, yeah, like being here is engaging and not boring.
Yeah, I love that. That is such a good idea. Are there any things that are important to you, ways that you want your home to be like ready or prepared, so when people come over, they do feel welcomed and comfortable?
Yeah, I think like we've had to figure that out as roommates, because we obviously have like, we have like one living space and we all take care of it in different ways. And so I think it probably depends person to person, like who they're hosting and what that looks like. But I feel like generally we try to like pick up clutter and make sure that like there's not huge stains anywhere, but we definitely aren't like deep cleaning the place every time somebody comes. Like we'll vacuum like once a week if we can and clean the floors and dust. But we also know that like people are living in dorms typically, and so just being in a place that has like couches and a sink and a table is nice. So I think like we like to be tidy if we can, we like to be clean, but it's definitely not perfect. And sometimes when I was hosting group, it was a lot tidier. Other times it was really messy, or we had more dishes in the sink or something like that. But I think people extend grace, because they're like, you live here, this is your house, like it's not going to be perfect all the time, it's going to look like people live in it. And so if it, isn't tidy and perfect, that's okay, because that's just normal life. And I think I felt this, like when you're in someone else's house and it's not perfect, you kind of feel more like, I feel a little more at home, and you're like, wow, they're not trying to put up a facade, they're just trying to be normal and include me in their life, which is really sweet. So I've appreciated that.
Yeah.
It's very important for me, as we see here. It's very important for me to feed people. And that's something else that we've kind of had to navigate, is I have these really, really high expectations for like, no, I have to home bake for people every time they come over, and everything has to be handmade. And we've seen that with, on my birthday, the last couple of years, have like homemade dinners. And it's been a lot. And it's been a lot on you guys, not just on me, which I'm really appreciative of.
But that shows you something about Anna, is that like on her birthday, she chooses to spend it like in a very busy kitchen cooking for like 30 people. Like that's the kind of hostess she is. And that like is what brings her. We did not know
that many people are going to come this year.
Yeah.
That was great. It was
that's what brings her joy though.
But this year we hand rolled pasta for everybody.
That's so cool.
But I really enjoy, as much as I can, like having, even if it's not made for an event, like having this kind of thing around our house for when people come over, there's something to offer.
Yeah.
And especially when, again, specifically in the outreach to college students, how often are they getting something that's like homemade?
Yeah, that's such a
good
point.
And same, with like Mitzi bringing food is like these, I don't know, I remember living in a dorm and eating like 8 bagels a week and wilted cafeteria salad, like
a lot of coffee.
Yeah.
And I love too that like the church budgets for like hospitality for the college students. Like Mitzi was given like some money each month by the church to help budget for food, because food's expensive and feeding college students is expensive. And especially college students, like they know how expensive food is. So when they go to someone's house and they make them a home cooked meal, it means so much more, because you're like poor and starving all the time, and then someone spent their money, or the church spent their money to feed you a home cooked meal that was tasty, like to take the time to take care of you in that way. And I've been really blessed by that, and I think Anna does a really good job of blessing people like with her cooking skills in that way.
Thank you, Faith Bible Church, for your budget and here's real experiences of the blessings from that budget. So thank you to our church for putting that together. That's amazing. Have you guys had quite a few like non-Christian attenders to the Bible studies?
Yeah, I think like our core group of people are walking with the Lord, but there's a couple guys that came pretty consistently who, I don't think we're walking with the Lord. And we also have like a lot of people in our lives, like through work or through like my other classes, who aren't working with the Lord. So even outside of like a formal Doxa Bible study, I think we've tried to like put together pretty casual, like, hey, let's like all watch a movie together, or let's have a game night together, and then trying to include our non-believing friends so they feel like a part of a community that's like normal, that spends time together and has fun and isn't like
doesn't feel
weird
maybe
Christian.
quite as intimidating as like come to my Bible study.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you know, we have a movie night and I've got some of my coworkers there and we finished the movie and everybody's like, all right, we're going to first service in the morning tonight.
Yeah.
We're going to church at 8:30. Yeah. That's really important to us.
Yeah, it's like 11 o'clock at night and we're like, okay, see you at 8:30 tomorrow morning.
And that's
like, what?
super unusual for like the people that I work with who have just, I mean, never heard the gospel, but it's very obvious that a lot of our friend group are believers. And I mean, I have one friend in particular who like has come to a few of our things and who even, I mean, came to a few of my Bible studies. I'm in the Jarms's Bible study. And she's come out of it being like, like, this is maybe horrible, but like the people at your church are so normal. Because I think when you come to like a church service, it can feel socially really intimidating.
Totally.
But to like be in somebody's house, I mean, my friend got to talk to Dan Jarms for like 30 minutes about art and came away from it. And I was like, that's my pastor. And she was like, what?
Shout out Dan.
Shout out Dan.
That's awesome. Caring about art was like a gospel witness there.
So cute.
But yeah, it's made her want to come to our church more and more.
Yeah, I love that. Like
From the baseline of like, wow, the people that I've met have just loved me really well in just like game nights and movie nights and parties. And
we're normal. Like we're not weird. I mean, some of us have our weird moments, but we like can enjoy each other without drinking alcohol, and we can enjoy each other just in a home playing a game, not like going out and spending tons of money on an extravagant experience. And I think like that type of like authentic like relationship and care and laughter or question asking is rare in our culture right now. And I think it's like craved by people our age, like who really want to feel like they're part of a community and part of people who actually care about them relationally. So I think it's been cool to like sow little pockets of that with our friends and try to entice them to come want to hang out with us.
That's cool. How would you guys encourage other young people or college-age students to invite people into their home? What are some ways that you might encourage them, especially if they feel like they don't maybe have the money or the resources, maybe even the time, overcoming some of those challenges? What would you say to encourage them?
Yeah, I have like 100 ideas because I feel like I've agonized over this too. Like, how do you get people into your house? Like, how do you get them to come? You know, like even just that can be really intimidating. Like, what if I put out an invite and no one wants to hang out? So I think like if someone were to ask about that, I would say like ask a couple individual people first if they're free, and then have a little core group of people to invite over, and then let them extend the invite to their friends. So as long as the core people come over, you're still hanging out and it's still sweet. And then if other people come, that's great, you know? So you kind of have a guaranteed amount of people coming. Or like start really small. Like you don't have to make food for somebody. Like you can just make tea or have some fruit or just watch a movie and eat popcorn. Like you can buy that from the store and use a microwave. So I think like keeping it really simple is a really good thing. Like when I was in college, I made tea for my roommates in my dorm room because like that was the only way I could really host them. Or like I would toast a bagel for them in my dorm room, and that was the best that I could do. But there would be like 10 girls crammed into our dorm room drinking tea, and it was sweet, you know?
Yeah.
So I think like starting small, and you don't have to have food, it doesn't have to be home cooked. If you don't have a big budget, that's okay. But hospitality is a way to like fellowship and love other people, and it's a way to draw non-believers into your life. And so it shouldn't be optional. I feel like it should be in some little way a part of everybody's lives. And finding a way you can do that with your skills is good.
I was gonna say hospitality isn't like putting on an event. Hospitality is an attitude of the heart. And so if you're operating from the attitude of hospitality and just loving people well, then everything else kind of doesn't matter. Like,
Yeah.
and that's like, I mean, even just the way you live day to day,
Yeah.
to be hospitable in your attitude and in your, you know, heart posture towards other people. And I mean, like you said, I did that kind of thing in my dorm room too, when I was living in a dorm room, where I would like make people coffee. And my roommate and I, thankfully I had a really sweet, you know, roommate. But she and I would do Bible studies in the morning, and we would start to invite people. And I didn't, you know, I had coffee and tea, and that's all I could offer. And that's great.
Yeah.
And all of the stuff that, like, you can get caught in feeling like you can't host and you can't, you know, like, I mean, I really struggle with that. I'm like, well, if I can't do it properly, I don't want to do it at all.
Yeah.
Which is not a good attitude to go into it with.
Yeah.
And it's never about all of the other stuff. It's always about the people and the gospel and Christ.
Yeah, and just starting in some way is great. Like, it's not going to be perfect the first time, and it's a skill that you can hone and develop. It's not just like a personality trait, you know, like, well, I didn't get the hospitality gene, so I guess I can't do it, you know. It's like growing a muscle, and so if you practice, it gets a little bit easier. The other thing I was thinking about was just like having some questions that you thought about ahead of time. And if you know people are coming over and you're going to have to talk to them, like have some questions that you want to ask them so that you have like a little plan for yourself. So that like they feel comfortable and you feel comfortable, and then you get the chance to not think about yourself and to think about other people, and then you're growing relationships with people who love Jesus, which is always a really good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, you're very good at having, like, just having questions ready. And that was another thing that I've seen in Erin, I saw in my college roommate, where she, like, I remember the first time I ever talked to her, she asked me what my favorite dessert was, and I was like, what? And then, like, I learned, like, a week later that she had, like, a list of 20 questions memorized.
Yeah.
And she would just shoot from the hip and start asking questions. And it didn't have to be, like, it didn't necessarily feel like organic conversation at first, but it always led to something.
Yeah. And it shows that you're making an effort.
Yeah, and it shows that you're trying. And it shows that you're loving people and you care and you want to learn about them.
Yeah. I can't think of a better way for people to feel like loved by somebody than somebody just showing interest in what they're interested in and asking them questions and being somebody that is curious and not just talking about themselves the whole time.
I think we've both had like hospitality modeled for us, especially by like other women in the church. I know for me, like, my mom is able to make so much food for so many people. Like, I don't think food has ever run out at our house. And I realize that's a skill. Like, it's not easy to do that. Or like,
I was going to say, I think we both had that modeled to us specifically by our moms.
Yeah, or I think about like Claire Milliken, and I would come over to her house and she'd clean her kitchen, and I would sit and watch her and like passively learn how to clean a kitchen, and we would just talk, and that was awesome. Or she'd make me hot chocolate, and it was awesome. Or like Rachel Jarms would take me shopping with her, and she was being hospitable even if I wasn't in her home, but she like would walk around stores with me and we would talk, and that was really meaningful to me. So I think like they've taught me how to like bake people into your life and like bring them into what you're already doing and help them feel loved in just your day-to-day.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be hosting an event.
Yeah.
It's like, I need to do this thing. Will you do it with me?
Yeah.
Will you spend time with me while I, you know, while I go grocery shopping, or while I get errands done, while I need to clean today? So can you come over? Or like Bible studies tonight. You want to come over an hour early and help me cook some food?
Yeah, exactly.
I can teach you how to make focaccia.
Yeah.
Do you have any verses that you go to that encourage you to love the people around you?
The beginning of Hebrews 13 says, "Let brotherly love continue. Do not neglect to show hospitality to strangers, for thereby some have entertained angels unaware." And then it continues to like speak on showing hospitality to those who are in prison and to those who are mistreated, who are part of the body. So
Yeah. It's really encouraging. I think like
Also broaden your horizons.
Yeah,
Extend your boundaries. There are always people that we're comfortable with and people that we're not comfortable with.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, like, sometimes showing hospitality is really hard to do. And sometimes you're, like, really tired. Like, I know I had nights hosting the Bible study where I just was like, I'm so tired and, like, I feel like everything's a mess and I don't feel very motivated. But, like, I know that this honors the Lord, so I'm going to just do my best to obey with as good of an attitude as he can give me right now and just pray that the Lord will, like, work on my heart even during this event that I'm hosting. Yeah. Like, sometimes I just had days where I was like, this is really hard.
Also, you can ask for help.
Yeah, and then,
That's a huge part of it. And if you're developing, like, if you're working on that skill and you develop a core group to be hospitable with, thankfully we have our roommates.
Yeah, and I feel like Annalise in particular is really good at giving help and anticipating needs, even if you haven't asked for it, which I'm not good at asking for help.
That's a huge hospitality principle.
And Annalise is great at it.
Anticipating needs of others.
Yeah, she's really good at anticipating needs. Like, I think she's, like, refilled napkins, like, 3 times or something, and I was like, I forgot to do that, and she just did it because she knew. Yeah.
Have there ever been challenges where, like, you guys have had to work through, like, who invites who over, because you're sharing this living space, you have to be considerate of, you know, each other's time and privacy. So have you ever had...
We always check with each other.
Yeah, I feel like typically in advance we'll just text and be like, hey, like, we have a group of people coming over on this night. Does that work okay with everyone's schedules? And then typically, like, people, like, either join in if it's like, oh, we're all together as a group, or clear out if there's something, like, private that needs to be talked about. Anna and Annalise have their own rooms, and Grace and I don't mind being cooped up in the same room. So I think it's worked out okay. Yeah, which is really sweet. I feel like everyone's really agreeable and easy to be flexible.
There's also rarely a time that I don't want to be around people. So a lot of the time with the Gonzaga group, I'll join in even though I'm not part of the group.
Yeah.
And same with every other context where people come over. I'm like, oh,
Anna
I'm
just
here
floats
now.
over. She's like, hi. Can I ask questions now too?
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. Which is sweet too. Like, I think, like, having a buddy to host with is really helpful. Like, if you have someone over and you're a little nervous about talking to them.
Yeah, and again, like, it's great to ask for help. That's what the body of Christ is there for.
Yeah. That's a really good idea. I can think of an example recently. I invited coworkers over, and thankfully one of my coworkers goes to our church, and I was like, please be there, because
I specifically need you to support me right now.
Like, having another believer with you in your life to do ministry together, and to especially just love the people in your life who aren't walking with the Lord, to just together partner in doing that and share the gospel, and for them to see your relationship with each other, I think, is huge. So that's a great idea. I love that.
I've even had moments with Erin. I also did this once with your brother, with Daniel, where I was like, hey, I have this person that I would love to hear the gospel, and to be so for real, I'm kind of scared to bring it up. Can you help me? Can you do that? Can you help me?
Yeah. Sometimes there's, like before I was dating Ellis, there were guys like at Gonzaga, and I was like, I really don't want to give them the wrong idea by, like, inviting them over to my apartment, or, like, being overly hospitable, because I want to have, like, a clear boundary that I'm not interested in them, like, especially if they're not a Christian, and I want to be, like, really careful. And so, like, there was a couple opportunities where I would, like, ask some of the, like, believing guys in Doxa, like, hey, like, this person's coming to church on Sunday, like, he's a guy, could you, like, talk with him and get his information and kind of, like, pick up with him so that I'm not the one having, like, the deep conversations, or, like, the deep gospel conversations, because it's not really appropriate for me to. And vice versa. Like, my brother before has been like, hey, there's this girl that's, like, open to the gospel in one of my classes who I met, like, would you be willing to get coffee with her? Because it's not really appropriate for me to, you know? And so I think even asking someone of the opposite gender who's in Doxa or in the church with you can be really helpful, because you want to make sure that you're being, like, respectful and keeping good boundaries when you are being hospitable, of course.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
I was just thinking of Philippians 2:3. Do nothing from selfish ambition or conceit, but in humility count others more significant than yourselves. Let each of you look not only to his own interests, but also to the interests of others. There's another principle of hospitality, though. What do other people want to do?
Yeah.
And we were talking about that earlier.
And maybe the thing you want to do or feel comfortable doing isn't what other people are comfortable doing. So maybe it's a chance to learn a new skill, or to go play Frisbee if you don't like playing Frisbee, or to watch a movie if you don't like watching movies, or to go on a hike if you don't like hiking. Because the point isn't yourself. It's about being with people.
And to be okay being bad at something if it means you're still loving someone well in that.
Yeah, that's true. I remember being like, I have to learn how to play Ultimate Frisbee because if I want to make friends in college, I have to be able to play Ultimate Frisbee, which is probably not even true. I don't think I played it once with anyone in Gonzaga. But I was like, I'm going to figure this weird game out.
Anna, tell me about your recipes that you're going to be sharing with the church. So what do we have here?
I will have to write out this recipe because the recipe I used is actually for a cranberry orange scone, but I've actually never made cranberry orange scones with it? I don't know. I kind of took a recipe from New York Times Cooking that was for cranberry orange scones, and I made it my base scone recipe. So today we have blueberry scones. I've done lemon blueberry. These have orange and blueberry.
It looks like there's maybe a glaze on top, or is it just shiny because
there is
perfect
heavy cream brushed on top, and then sugar, and then I have focaccia.
And you could kind of adapt it with different spices, or
You can put whatever you want in focaccia.
How long does this one take to make?
Takes me like 30 minutes to put together the dough, and then I put it in the fridge for 24 hours. And then, again, grease a pan pretty well with more olive oil. And you put your dough in it, and you dimple it, which is when you like stick your fingers in it. It's like you're really aggressively hitting a piano key over and over and over again. And then you drizzle olive oil on top. That's a big part of focaccia is olive oil. So try to have a good olive oil. And then salt. So what's on this one is salt, pepper, oregano, basil. And then put it in the oven. And then take it out. And then I melt a ton of butter on it. And I put a ton of garlic on it. And then I put some fresh basil.
Perfect.
Like, as far as like actionable cooking time, it's pretty short for a bread.
Yeah.
That's why it's my go-to.
Yeah.
Good and easy.
Delicious.
And making breads for people is, if you can like get that skill down, is a really good one to do because ultimately the ingredients to bread are pretty cheap.
Yeah, that's true.
And so if you're making homemade bread, it's really special for people, but it doesn't really cost you a ton of money.
They look beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing these recipes with us. Well, thank you guys so much again for joining this podcast, and I will see you guys on the next episode.
Yay,
Bye.
Thanks.
If this recipe is something you'd like to try, you can pick up a copy of Living Faith magazine at Faith Bible Church, or you can access it online at fbchurch.org/magazine.